Hi everyone, my name is Rita Alfaro and I'm the music librarian for Fort Worth Public Library, and today I'm having a quick Q&A with one of our awesome Amplify 817 artists, Ronnie Heart. Hi Ronnie.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself for our viewers who might not be so familiar with you or your work?
Well, I'm a recording artist who likes to make electronic music. I guess I think what people know me mostly from is making more dance-oriented stuff, like funky based funk based synth pop, I guess.
Yeah.
And I do some DJing and I paint, but I'm assuming that for an interview pertaining to radio, I'm just a musician. There's a Great Dane right next to me who was like really wanting me to pet him. So
Oh, yeah. My dog's sleeping, so. But no, that's great. I think a lot of not that it's a hobby for you to paint, I'm sure you're an artist too, but I think a lot of musicians also have other outlets that they do, so that's great that you also paint and get to do the DJ work and also the music side of things.
Yeah, it really helps me now, especially during when I can't perform or can't go out to do stuff. The paintings have helped a lot with income as far as commissions go and all that.
Yeah. Have you been doing, or I know you have been doing some of the live kind of broadcasts, right, on your social media?
You know, yes, I've done a few of them already, and they've been pretty fun. I just haven't. I took like a little bit over a month off. I just didn't want to do it, didn't want to be like I guess distracting, towards like the Black Lives Matter movement and any of that. I just didn't want to I don't know. I just felt strange doing it, and but it's been a nice time to kind of put my brain in other places, and I've been painting a lot more basically, and just recording more music, and there's still a little bit of like scheduling and all that stuff involved whenever you're going to do even a live stream and set up and everything like that. So it's been nice to kind of figure out some other things and explore some other projects that haven't really put enough time towards.
Definitely. And I think you have a new single out right now, right?
Yeah, I just I put it out, and it takes a few different days for it to go out in different platforms from the distribution company online distribution that I used. But yeah, it's finally out, I think, on all the platforms that at least I listen to music on, and the Spotify, and it's on iTunes, and I think Deezer and Tidal, and so it puts them into a lot of stores and a lot of platforms.
That's awesome. So what is your earliest music memory?
Well, as far as, there was always music at my house, and I'm Latino, for parents from two different Latin countries, and they both love music, so there was always music on, and like salsa and stuff. Trying to remember, there's one pretty special moment that's musical to me, is that put my brain, or at least like made me be really conscious that I like music more than kind of the average person. There's this, I was on a school bus, and this was in an elementary school. I got picked up, and there was I think the bus driver was just playing the radio, or there was music on somehow. And I'm pretty sure it was like Regulators or something like that. Just, like Nate Dogg, Warren G, hip hop song. And I'm from Houston. So, so I grew up with like either my Latin parents' music a lot, and just a lot of hip hop. And I gravitated towards like the hip hop radio stations, and all the time. So anyways, I'm listening to that song and I just start whistling along to the music. And there's this kid who says, "You don't whistle to rap. You can't whistle to hip hop." And I thought, I whistle to everything, or like I
Yeah.
to any kind of song, as long as it has like melody and all that. So I don't know. I remember that being like a pretty strong moment where that I think influenced me a lot. But I didn't even touch an instrument until I was 16. So that was, when I was like 8 or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say that, and there's another one that's pretty that I've always think about, and it's really meaningful to me. Is I was in Colombia for one summer, and my family was just having like a little party at their house, and it's just a little apartment, but they packed it up, and the kids, can stay up pretty late there, and I think all the adults were getting drunk, and one of my aunts just grabbed me and she's like pulled me in by my hand into the dance floor, and it was like some heavy salsa hit, and she's like, "Come on, mijo, and let's dance." So I just danced salsa, and I remember thinking how special this, I don't know, music is, especially dancing, and especially within like the Latin culture. So
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. And I'm Latina as well, so a lot of that, for me, it's a lot of the quinceañeras, the weddings,
yeah,
the parties. It's just a big part of who you are and what's around you. Even just going to like
yeah,
the grocery store and stuff, or just walking down the street, you have that kind of authentic folk kind of music playing,
yeah.
something that's relevant in from where you're from. I'm from South Texas, so conjunto music and tejano and all of that's just embedded in me.
Yeah, I'm sure
So
there's India and stuff like that people are into there as well.
yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
I feel like I work this in everything I do, but I'm a big Selena fan, so that's always with me too, especially being
What's
from.
funny is that one time, and I was kind of tongue in cheek about it, but another interviewer asked me, who are your biggest influences, and I was just kind of being funny about it because it changes all the time. But I said Selena, Beyonce, and I can't remember who else it was, but it could have been like Queen, the band, or something like that. But yeah, Selena. I said Selena, so that's one of them where like if I hear a guitar solo,
Yeah.
I mouth it out, or like I whistle it out or hum it out. So like Selena's all her music I've tried to sort of play on guitar
Hmm.
by just memory, like all the little riffs that the responses, the instrumental responses to her little vocal parts. I'm always,
Yeah.
that she's very in for sure, me as well, in my blood, as far as I listen to her a lot, and I have 2 younger sisters who love cumbia, and my mom, and so yeah, Selena's been a big part of my life musically, for sure.
Do you have any other big musical influences that you'd like to talk about?
Um, yeah, I mean, so I guess, yeah, I got a lot into electronic, like synthesizer music from the late 70s, early 80s, when I started writing like my first EP. Um, there's this band from Japan called Yellow Magic Orchestra, and they've been around since the 60s, but they got really popular, in the late 70s, and then into the 80s especially. But they used all sorts of weird, machines to create music with. And so and the composer, Ryoichi Sakamoto, who he's won
Mm-hmm.
Academy Awards. Um, he's been a big influence, and all the other band members have been too. They all have, they had careers beyond Yellow Magic Orchestra, but yeah, just electronic music in general. And I think when I started writing that as well, I was into just like music that Quincy Jones, like jazzy funk,
Yeah.
from, let's say, Donna Summer. I love just disco music in general, and just funk. Any early '80s I like this early 80s pop stuff a lot too, but
Oh, yeah.
there's no one, I mean, I don't know, there's no one in particular who I followed. It's hard. Yeah, I just listen to so much music from all over the world, like every single day.
Yeah.
Every once in a while I will listen to an album, but so when I started making the music, I would say it was a lot of early 80s influence, or come on, get back, boy. Um, or I guess like Dr. Dre and Timbaland, those are producers who I love. So yeah, anyone who like hip hop producers from like the 90s are big
Yeah.
influences. But they used a lot of funk music from the late
Oh,
70s.
exactly. Lots of
Yeah,
sampling. Yeah.
lots of sampling stuff. So I got really, listening to that stuff, I always went back, and just jazzy music in general, I love. So all that, has kind of like combined into what I like to make.
It's awesome. So what sparked your interest in music?
Well, I think just dancing in general. I really wanted to be like a professional dancer and dance jazz ballet, and I used to break dance in middle school, mostly in middle school, and I mean, I can still do some of the moves because I haven't really grown much since then, and so kind of same body style as when I was that young, but yeah, I just love to dance in general. So I was doing that in Houston, and my mom and stepdad, when I was in high school, decided to move to Colorado well, we didn't know for a year, but we lived there for a year, and in Pueblo, Colorado, there weren't any dance schools or really anything that I guess I was excited about. So I mean, there was always music there. I always remember the DJs from the little civic centers. The youth advocate centers I used to go dance at.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Colorado, since there wasn't any of that, I think I just saw, I don't know, I made a friend who had a guitar, and he was
Mm-hmm.
into Green Day and some kind of pop punk and stuff, and Nirvana, and I picked up, he taught me like a few little riffs on guitar, and I thought, this is fun. I thought it could possibly be a hobby or something, but yeah, I asked my mom for a guitar, and she got me a guitar that I still have. It's my only acoustic guitar I've ever had. I but yeah, that was around, I think I was like 16,
Mm-hmm.
but it took me probably another year to get really into it. But once I don't know who, I think it was maybe looking at like pictures of rock stars from the 70s, I
Yeah.
thought, or 60s, I thought, man, this just looks fun. And like, I love the fashion. I love everything
Yeah.
about, the mystique of it all. So yeah, that's what kind of pushed me into wanting to play all the time. I mean, for so many hours a day, I would play guitar, and just, yeah. So it was around then when I started playing music.
Cool.
Yeah, but it's always been important, I think, because of dance, and that's why I've primarily made mostly dance music than
Mm-hmm.
any other style.
So you're saying dance is a big influence in your music. What do you hope others feel from your music?
Well, I guess just inspired to make, create in whatever way, or just inspired, because not everyone's like creative, because I always think of people who are really important in the world, and let's say they're doctors, medics, and stuff like that, who they may have, um, aspirations to be artists, but let's say you're in like a career like that, you can't say that,
Yeah.
you know hey, go start painting all of a sudden or whatever, but
Right.
just inspiration, to find, something meaningful in what you do. I mean, but yeah, I guess like for me, I think a lot about creativity, and just have a lot of fun, doing it. And I think like there's a lot of hard work in it, or like long hours in creating, let's say, like a beat or a unique sound for a beat, and unique ways to, like, I'm always seeking more information to make myself better. So I mean, it's that kind of thing. Like, I would inspire joy, joy and happiness, and also the will to want to be better at your craft, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
And why would you say music is important to you? Does that kind of segue into that?
Yeah, well, I think about it all the time. I mean, it makes me feel better, like just whistling or humming. Although sometimes I kind of forget. I mean, it really does help my emotional being a lot. Just music in general, singing. But I guess I don't know. There's so many things I could say about it. But it's important to me. I mean, especially now that I've been doing it for a while, professionally, making a living from it. It becomes like more serious in one aspect, but also I think it really challenges my thinking, and it makes me I guess more thoughtful about so many things, because let's say you listen to some slow classical music, your mind is in a whole another spot than it is if you're listening to something with like heavily imposing rhythms,
right?
Big beats, and stuff like that. I mean, music can really influence your thoughts at a particular time.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, I listen to it in birds. I love birds. So I like going outside, when it gets like cooler, and just listen, or bugs. Like the other day, I was on a walk. That's what I've been doing a lot in quarantine. A little, like an hour before sunset, I'll just start walking for like an hour. And I don't know if it was cicadas or what, but there were so many bugs, and I thought, whoa, this is crazy. So I recorded it, and for about 4 minutes, I did a 4-minute one and maybe like a 2-minute one, because as like I left that little area, it stopped. And then, but yeah, I just love nature, and I find there's a lot of sounds and music and just strange stuff that makes me want to incorporate into my sound design work, to turn into a
that's amazing.
Beat,
Yeah. And that's great. And I think a lot of people forget that, to take in what we have around us. Like, music isn't just notes on a page or what we typically think that's coming from instrumentation. It's kind of everything around us. And I think, like you said, it influences you, and I think it influences a lot of others as well. So, so how does being in Fort Worth shape your music?
Well, I guess for one, because I've lived in other cities. Like, I lived in Brooklyn for a little bit, and knowing Houston, I'm definitely a city guy. And I think this living here, I live here. The big reason that I'm here is family. Like, my mom and my sisters, and I have like a young niece and nephew, and like right now I'm at my cousin's dog sitting for her while she's out of town, but she has 3 boys, and I really love my family, and I like being around them, and so I mean, I would say that's the main reason I'm here, but I'm glad they live here because it's like a city. It's a big city, and I mean, I never knew it was like this up until, I came back from, trying to live in Brooklyn, that there's this community and a mentality within the community that people want to push, people want to be more progressive and forward thinking, more so than I ever thought so, because, we are in the South, and, but yeah, there's especially like within my friends group, there's so much diversity that I missed when I moved from Houston.
Yeah.
Because it's such a diverse city. But I think I've, um, you know, I guess put myself in that situation here. So
Mhm.
for me, like my personal Fort Worth is exciting and thriving and full of ideas and people who are supportive of each other. And it like me DJing and performing. I've I've found a lot of support and like an exciting community to give my gifts, share my gifts with and interact with and all that.
Yeah. And so that kind of goes into the Fort Worth music scene. Do you feel like it's grown a lot since you've been a part of it? Are there like any little niche pockets that you just absolutely love that you wish would just kind of be explored a little bit more?
Well, I would say so I guess that's like two things, right? So I have found that that the music scene has grown and it's diversified. Yeah, a lot. I what I would like to see explored more would just be musicians who normally don't use a lot of electronics to collaborate with more synth driven or drum machine
Yeah.
driven artists, more so for tone, not necessarily like, oh, you got to change your whole compositional or arrangement thing. I mean, although that would be exciting to do that stuff, but people who, let's say, are just like strictly country or rock or folk,
Mm-hmm.
if they would like hang out with somebody who had a synthesizer, or something like that. I would like to see that kind of collaboration. But I would say, and you mentioned that I just put out that single. I did it so I wrote that song from scratch for this particular specific project that my friend Peter Warenga, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's mixed a lot of music that within the last few years. He's mixed a lot of music for a lot of different artists, but I guess since quarantine, he thought that, or he just thought of a project he wanted to get, I think it was like 7 to 9 artists to work with. He just wanted to mix their music. So he asked a few producers. So within that, I've noticed, I've learned about people I didn't even know they were producing music.
Yeah.
One of them being like an old student of mine from School of Rock. I had no clue he was making his own music. I knew he was playing and jamming with other bands and stuff, but I mean, so that was cool. And then some other like some of my band members, one of my band members made a song on there. And then just some other of my friends put songs out, and I thought, wow, all this is in Fort Worth, like these different types of approaches to music that can't necessarily be showcased on stage, or for whatever reason. But I have noticed it grown, and I think that compilation is gonna show a lot of new things, even for me, because most of my, like, let's say my EP, all the songs are pretty danceable, and they're a little quicker paced. But this song is like that I released is kind of half that, and I think it explores a more like I don't know, just like a softer version of me, and and it's smooth, and you can hear elements of the same stuff, but I definitely try to go out there within that little time frame that I had to write that, put that song out for that compilation. So I think I think right now it's kind of a strange time for musicians. Yeah.
So just 2 more questions. How do you think Amplify 817 will help your music? Or has it helped your music? Or how do you feel in general about Amplify 817?
Well, I love the idea. I guess if you would refresh me. So it's It's just Fort Worth based, right? Like, or are you
Yes.
guys playing any other artists from anywhere?
No. So Amplify 817, we're essentially just an online streaming and downloading service for Fort Worth patrons, Fort Worth Library patrons, but also just the streaming service is open to anybody.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is essentially just showcase all of Fort Worth music and what we have, spanning all genres from gospel music to rock music, electronic, the Tejano. We've just closed submissions yesterday. We closed at midnight. We've got about 90 people who submitted, all walks of life, all different types of genres. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, or even if you want to talk about how you were approached to be an Amplify 817.
I can't necessarily remember, but I'm pretty sure someone emailed me about it. And, you know, we kind of walked through that whole thing of getting like the music on there. But yeah, I love the idea. And I mean, I'm sure it'll help. I haven't used it yet, so I guess I need to use it so I can, you know, make a true testimonial, I guess, of it. But I mean, I'm definitely, yeah, I'm happy that you guys asked, and that I love the idea of a strictly Fort Worth. And that's another part of Fort Worth that's great is that, I mean, you have Visit Fort Worth and Hear Fort Worth, and you have these I guess these, like, I was gonna say institution, but more like yeah, these little businesses that are trying to, you know, push forward a lot of artists and you know, to make the city recognize, I don't know, see the importance that art brings, and
Yeah,
the importance of what it is. Yeah, of just art in general. So I love any kind of anything that does that, you know, for any city. And yeah, I'm glad that Fort Worth's doing that.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. We're glad you're part of one of our 8 teaser artists. We've got a range from rap to you doing electronic. We've got some country artists. So we're excited to expand it and keep moving forward. But my last question for you, what advice do you have for any aspiring musicians here in Fort Worth?
I'd say, I guess, yeah, I would say, like, anything, if you feel like something's hard, first of all, if you feel like something's difficult, really it's just more time applied to it. To not get daunted by, like, you know, big thing. If you're going to learn something, try to learn it in pieces and break it down, and, you know, everything's learnable. And yeah, just to work with other people, not be scared to you know, put work out. And yeah, I mean, if anyone wants to reach out to me, I know I've had lots of people who randomly reach out and they'll say, hey, you know, how'd you make this beat? Well, then, you know, I have to say, okay, well, what kind of tools do you have for it and all that, you know? So there's a process, but I would say, you know, seek someone who knows more than you to learn from, whether you know them or, you know, you go on YouTube or whatever. But yeah, you know, I always try to find out from you know, get more knowledge from other people. And yeah, I don't know. That's maybe the one thing I could say, but
Continuous learning.
go for it. Yeah, learn and apply. Learn and apply.
Definitely. Was there anything else that you would like to mention or say before we quit for the day?
Yeah. Yeah, I really like to shout out Peter Warenga again, who made that. I don't know if he submitted all those songs to you guys or not. But yeah, I think the compilation's called Mixing Fort Worth, and you know, my song's just one of them on there. But he and then Sam Culp from Yokio, they Sam mastered all the songs. Yeah, I guess I just want to shout them out and Yes. Hi, Mom.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. And just a quick announcement, if anybody is interested in Amplify 817, it's amplify817.org. Everything is free to stream. If you're a Fort Worth Library card holder, the 8 tracks that we have from our teaser artists, including Ronnie Heart, are available for download. So thank you for joining us today, Ronnie.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah. Bye-bye, you too.
Bye.